Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our skill sharing conversation on creating inclusive volunteer opportunities. My name is Stephanie Sandala. I'm Program and Outreach Specialist at LibraryLinkNJ. And I'm so excited to have here with us Jungwon DeVone from Somerset County Library System. We'll talk about creating inclusive volunteer opportunities for teens and adults and share her experiences. And afterwards, we hope to have a really exciting conversation with all of you about your experiences, any questions you may have, any feedback. And we're going to have like a really informative, informal conversation. So afterwards, please feel free to put anything in the chat and we'll be happy to answer. So Jungwon, do you want to go ahead and get started?
Hey, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie, for inviting me, and thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I'm very excited to talk about a topic is not only important, but also transformative, creative, and creating inclusive volunteer opportunities. So before I start, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Jungwon DeVone, and I am the Adult Services Department Supervisor at the Manville branch of the Somerset County Library System of New Jersey. Until April, I held Special Populations Department Supervisor at the Bridgewater branch, and my work focuses on creating and facilitating various programs tailored for individuals with disabilities, about adult English language learners and those facing memory challenges as well. Before transitioning to public librarianship, I spent about 13 years working as a medical librarian at a specialized hospital for individuals with the developmental disabilities. So I have run various volunteer programs for individuals with IDD. I have worked with the local schools and provided volunteer tasks to their students who were in work-based learning programs. For example, in Bridgewater, I did work with Bridgewater Raritan High School's STEP program. STEP is a school to employment program, and they were sending to us 2 to 4 volunteers twice a week during their school year with their job coach for 3 cycles, 3 months each. And because they come with a job coach, library staff provide more social engagement and appropriate tasks and some supervision. Also, I worked with the individuals with individual teens with the IDD. I ran an inclusive volunteer program for teens with IDD called the STAR, Supported Teens Alternate Route. So this program is for teens in grade 9 to 12 or high school's postgraduate program. And it ran September through June of school year. And they come once a week up to 1 hour, and we provide a one-on-one supervision, and then it's more treated like a real workplace experience. So when they have to absent, they have to call and then tell us that they are going to do it, not their parents contacting us. So something like that we are trying to make them to feel it's more workplace than just do volunteer work. And we help them to feel more confident, and then they can improve interpersonal skills. Also, in this program, tasks and goals for volunteering are individualized based on their specific skills that they already have and hoping to develop. Also, for the past 2 years, I have been working with adult volunteers with the IDD. They come with their mostly they come with their caregivers once a week or on a as needed basis, and spend about 30 minutes to up to 2 hours depending on task, as well as the time they have on the day. So So I'd like to talk about, and also I'd like to ask about why this matters to you. Why is it important to create it or adapt volunteer programs to support individuals with IDD? Um, for me, it's important because as population grow in New Jersey and Somerset County, we have noticed that the demand for diverse volunteer opportunities has also grown. So providing volunteer programs or volunteer opportunities definitely, can help individuals with IDD to build their confidence and stay engaged with the community. So adopting volunteer programs to support individuals with IDD is important because it ensures that everyone can contribute meaningfully to their community. Um, what do you guys think? What it matters to you? Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Hi, my name is Lily. I work at the Summit Public Library. We also have similar programs. I joined today. I work with the teens mostly, but we also do the STEP program where it's like they're out of high school, but they're continuing through the Summit High School in a program where they try to get them out and volunteering as well as helping them get a job afterwards. And we have had over the past couple of years an increase in students and adults that come and volunteer. And I think it's important because there are a lot of things in the library that people with either were a learning curve or a physical disability are able to do stuff that we have around the library. So I just wanted to get more like examples. Usually we have them like sort or clean, but it's, if I could get any more ideas on what other things we can have them do, I think that'd be great for them to have, more options.
Oh, good, good. We're going to talk about it later. So stay tuned.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I also like Angelica's comment in the chat of she gets tons of volunteers, so it's looking for ways to include everyone. And Darlene is looking for ideas to make it a win-win for volunteers and the organization. I like that comment as well.
All right. Yes, we were going to talk about, I think we'll cover most of things, but it's not just from me. We're going to share our opinions and thoughts and our experience. So I'm gonna just move on. So the next question I'd like to ask and like to discuss about is understanding and responding to the needs. So what are some common needs and challenges faced by these individuals that libraries should be aware of? To me, I think we need to make accessible facilities. Also, making more inclusive programming. It's if they are just coming for volunteers, that is going to be just library equals work. But if you have a lot more inclusive programs like social hours or other like craft or some performance, they can come and it will just create their feeling that they will be more involved into community and library programs. So I think the inclusive programs are something that we should increase more. Also, the communication skills for staff members. Some staff members might be a little afraid to talk to them, or many times I observed the staff members talking to the caregivers instead of the actual people with the disabilities. So those things probably then think that it's the most challenges that they are facing when they're visiting the library. So what do you guys think?
Okay, before we continue, I also wanted to address Karen's comment or question in the chat. She is asking if you can suggest specific programs for IDD, which you may get into later. And then do you market specific programs for this population?
In Somerset County Library System, we have several branches that actually running the disability social hours. So people who has, if whether they have they're homebound or they are more, it's like, or they're going to organizations or daycare, they can still come. And we have a once a month or twice a month per branch, and we have all different types, different days and different time slots of for every branch is to have a different days and times. So people can go to multiple social hours and visit the library in different branches. And we have created a summer teens social hour too, because it's more like a disability social hour was for adults. And to teens, we have a social hours or the craft or night or family game night with just for the individuals with disabilities or neurodivergent. So we call it like sensory friendly game night, something like that. If you have any other examples, please share with me too.
Yeah, and I see, thank you, that was really helpful. And I see Karen's follow-up question. Do you call it Disability Social Hour specifically in your naming or your marketing of that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Then for neurodivergent population, we just call sensory friendly.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of sensory friendly game night as a marketing or promo.
And sensory friendly movies, but we are actually putting on our description is for anyone can come. However, this is actually specially designed for those populations.
Okay, great. That was actually my next question for me personally. So I'm glad you answered that too.
Yeah.
Yes, but anyone else is welcome to chime in if you have any questions or feedback or comments or anything.
Okay, then shall we move to the next question then? So my next question is how can we involve local organizations that support people with IDD in the planning and implementation of the programs? Building partnership is very important. I mean, there are many team librarians here probably, and then you probably know if you have a STEP program or work-based learning program that you have already connection with the local high schools or local middle schools. The schools are best partners for these programs. Also, it's making a good connection with the parents are great too, because the parents have parents of the teens with IDD, they have their own strong, like kind of a group and then bonding. So they can share the information and then just word of mouth is actually faster than then we're putting in the social medias in particularly those populations. And also what you can do is building a good relationship with them, not only the school, maybe the ARC or alternatives. There's many organizations. You can invite them to your staff days or any like interest group meetings as a guest speakers and let them share with you about their experience as well as possible scenarios through something that what we can do if we don't know this person is acting up or there is some incidents that you didn't expect it, so they can give you some guidelines too. And then they do have lots of resources, and they do have leverage their networks and resources to make your program better. So it's really important to have a partnership with the organizations. And any other thoughts you guys have? Or any a relationship or a partnership you or currently have with?
I'm not sure if we have a partnership with this specific daycare, or it is for people with disabilities. But they do come like twice a week, and they're adults, so I work in the children's slash teens department. But I noticed that when they come, they use our computers, and they really enjoy asking the librarians for help finding books on specific topics, which all of the librarians are very willing to do. And we also have something that I've really noticed that they enjoy a lot is we have like a communal jigsaw puzzle, and they always seem to work on that. And that, it seems like they really enjoy working on it with other people as well.
Good, that's great.
In Roxbury, we added something last year that was a relatively easy lift. We already do during the holidays, a special event partnering with the two neighboring churches. And it's kind of like a winter festival, if you will. And part of it is we partner with the local Chamber of Commerce, who hosts Santa Land, where kids can get their pictures taken with Santa. And it's phenomenally, popular. We have people sign up in advance, and it's a great thing. This past year, we added a Friday evening specifically for special needs kids. And we have people sign up in advance for slots. And all I had to do was reach out to the assistant superintendent with the link to set up, and he then pushed it out through his staff to the families. And it was really a painless thing to do, and it made a lot of people very, very happy. So I just wanted to share that.
That's really wonderful. I mean, it's really nice that you guys actually putting into like lots of events for them. And I think it is important to make a partnership, even it's not partnership, but just good relationship with the school's special education department, as well as the postgraduate program coordinators. And like Karen says, they're going to the principal or assistant superintendent, or, just to making a good relationship with the school district. It's very good first step to make this volunteer program to start. All right. Stephanie, there's anything on chat?
No, not right now, but if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in as we go along.
Yes. Okay, then we had a needs and partnerships, and then we'll go to the training and support. So, it's implementing volunteer programs for IDD, individuals with IDD really need a lot of training, staff training. So what training should be provided to library staff to ensure they are prepared to support volunteers with IDD? I used to give training to the staff members in Somerset County. Right now, there's not many trainings going on, but I usually about like once a year. We're trying to do as ongoing training, but the only thing of my concern is the training is not mandatory. So not all staff getting it. It's just whoever who has a more interest in this subject. But during staff training, what I'm focuses on is why we should work with people with IDD, because people with the disabilities often are on the receiving end of services or contributions and not familiar with the concept of giving. But when opportunities are given to them to contribute their like talents and efforts or time to their community, they can receive the like a satisfaction of being a community member. And having such experience can make a huge difference in their lives, and especially their self-esteem and happiness. So I think while giving the training, I emphasize to our staff the important role of this volunteer with the disabilities in fostering a more inclusive community and dismantling the common barriers. Do you have any staff training at your library, or is there like certain frequency you're taking those kind of trainings?
Okay, so I see a few comments of unfortunately you don't have any training. So yeah, I'd definitely be interested to hear how you got started with yours, Jungwon, if you want to talk about that too.
Okay, we are actually once we had a disability services committee, and then the committee I was a chair, and then we decided to do some training for people who actually work with the volunteers with IDD. So the contents was includes the understanding of IDD. Basic training on intellectual or developmental disabilities to increase awareness and understanding of various conditions of their and their impact. Also, we talked about the communication techniques, such as as I said, people don't talk to the caregiver. We are talking directly to the person with the disability, and use the appropriate level of a word and tone. Sometimes, because of they seem not understanding, or they seem like not listening, so your voice gets louder and louder. So we are talking about that, it's just appear to be, but they are listening. And ask them before providing any help. Oh, let me help you. Not like that. And then we'll just have do you need help? Just like we're doing to the every other patrons. And be patient when they're when talking with the people with the disabilities, because they might take a little more time to speak, but we were just waiting and waiting. Oh, okay, do you need this? Do you need that? You're trying to fill the gap, and then trying to actually find what they want instead of asking them. So communication skills, and then also we are talking about the behavior issues too. We talk about the stimming. The stimming is the self-stimulatory behavior that happens to decrease the sensory overload, and or reduce anxiety or express frustration. And instead of stopping them from stimming, we can ask parents or the caregivers if they have any how they reinforce acceptable behavior at home if this person is a volunteer. And also we can ask them to bring an alternative coping mechanism, just such as a push pop sensory toy, or noise canceling headphones, or pop up visit toys, or on their volunteering days. And we try to make a little quiet areas for the volunteers, because of when start to have a sensory overload, there's a play area. The childrens are talking and screaming, and baby crying, and they just cannot focus on their work. So for individuals with neurodivergent individuals, we try to have a little small area to have a little quiet space, so they can work in that space. Any other any other comments or questions?
Do you know of any online training that could be just set up and sent out to staff?
I know that there's a Ryan Dowd they have a disability training components too. But to me, I built all this by with the books. There is ALA books that about the, programming for adults with the IDD, or there's a team programming for teens, programming for teens with IDD. There's several books that ALA publishes. Also, I will say that reading a lot of the articles or the websites of the organizations is actually helping. Like I go to the ARC or the Alternative or Our House, and then, any organizations, and then they're looking and then reading what they're doing and then what they need, that you can actually get some sense of it. So I don't really know the online training, but if I find it, if I come up with, remember, then I'll let you know, and I'll talk to Stephanie to send an email.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was so helpful, all that information. I see that Joyce has a question in the chat of who did you have conduct your training at Somerset County?
The staff, like a general stuff, I conducted, and then we actually invited outside guest speakers. As I said before, like partnership is important. When we have sometimes we ask special education department's teacher or any staff member to come to our training, or like, our interest group meetings, and then just talk about, like, the specific topics that we have lots of questions or we're concerned. And they provided some training for us. And also that I worked in the specialized hospital for people with IDD. So I have some connections, and I talked to the social workers or the psychology department, and then we asked them to come to our meeting and then talk about it.
That's great. Thank you. I was also thinking social workers might be a nice place to start as well.
Right. Okay, so if no one has any questions, then I'm going to move on to the next question, which is creating an inclusive environment. I think we already did a little bit, but how will we ensure the library environment is accessible and welcoming to volunteer with IDD? As I said before, first of all, everyone knows that physical accessibility is important, and then we need to have ramps and elevators or clear signage to accommodate individuals with the mobility challenges or any vision problems. And as I said before, again, inclusive programs. I think it is nice to have many inclusive programs so they can come to the library and they can visit the library so often so they are familiar with the building or environment or atmosphere. So when they come for the volunteer program, it's not just a shock of I need to work here. Instead of that, oh, this is a fun place. Oh, I'm adding fun, doing work, doing volunteer work. Also, yeah, ongoing staff training. That is very important. It's just not once. It has to be periodically comes, and then because we always have new staff members, and then some people will just had a training. We are working so hard, every day is so busy, training just goes away from you don't remember that much if you don't deal with or you don't interact with the population. So ongoing training is important. Also, the sensory friendly spaces, another important part, because as I said, that, you know, where individual can take a breaks and feel comfortable instead of the, you know, exposed to too much of noise. What else you think?
I have a question about, you mentioned the sensory friendly like game nights and
Mhm.
movies. How can you give an example of like what you guys do for those?
Okay, so when we put, I think it was the Addams Family movie, but it was the animation, and then we put it on, and then we actually put a little tables in the front with the snacks, so teens can enjoy their snacks while they're eating, the watching the movie, as well as we have a back corner has a little bit more a light, and then or search or the coloring pages, so they can just take a, if one they want to take a break from the movie, they can go to the back table, they can rest over there or take a break. And also we let them walk around in the movie during the movie, so they don't have to sit there all the time, and leave the door open a little bit, so in and out the meeting room is okay for them too. The game night is more likely for families, so if they can come with the family, and then the family, actually the parents were making connections, and they made a like a good gathering there. Then after that, like, oh, you're ninth grade parents, oh yeah, my son is ninth grade too, like where do you go, like, oh, you're going to this school, oh, my kid too, like, I didn't know. And then they start to get to know each other, so it was fun for family as well as teens. And I can tell the teens have a good time, because at the end they were singing a song together, or they can just, you know, pacing in, like kind of like, you know, running the meeting room with the smiles. So yeah, that's, well, a few examples.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love the idea of just having them be able to just walk around while the movie is playing too. I know Molly has a great question of, do you use any specific games for neurodivergent or sensory game nights?
No, we don't have like special games, anything like that, but we're trying to put a little bit we have a different levels of games, so it's easy, like almost like a like 48 pieces of puzzles. And then we put maybe Scrabbles, or we put, sometimes they don't like to do the games with the many people. Most likely they don't like to do with the many people. So like Uno, something that we can do with just two people too. So we're using any kinds, but we try not to use like Monopoly or something, because it will never gonna end in 1 hour and a half time.
Yeah, thank you. I like Dr. Darlene's comment of for a welcoming environment, be aware of the surroundings while they will be working. So have a quiet space if needed, to have a staff member check in periodically to address anything that may arise. I like that idea too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, there's no other comments. I'm gonna move on to next questions. So we are implementing this program. So I'm sure that you're all before I heard some questions about the tasks. So what specific task and roles will volunteer with IDD perform? And are the task or the task will be suited to their ability and interest. I know that I heard of some tasks, but can you just, you know, share what kind of task you're giving to the students who come for a STEP program, or if you have adults volunteers with IDD? Anyone wants to share?
Okay, yeah, Jenny says that she has some shelving DVDs checking contents of the games that are returned, and also having them help with inventory in a seed library.
Okay.
And Joyce has them doing shelving and shelf reading. It
Mhm.
doesn't work for everyone. That's been my experience too, with shelf reading doesn't always work for everyone.
Right. Shelf reading is really hard especially it's in nonfiction. It is way too complicated, but there's some students and then some adults, they are very good at it. They are like just so amazingly good doing good job with the numbers, but some volunteers can do numbers, but some are good with the alphabetic orders too. So you need to kind of know their strengths and know what they are interested in. So for us, we can make, I used to give a simple task first and then see how they progress. So simple task will be like including wiping the tables or toys and stamping branch initials on whole sleeves or stamping dates on donated books or shredding if they have they don't have any sensory issues. And then once that is passed and they are doing good job, and then I see that they're interested in getting, want to move on, then we did sticker project, which is we have a like YA stickers, but we all have to change it to teens instead of YA. So our team volunteers, they changed all YA stickers to teens. So it was a really nice project, and if someone who wants to do repetitive work, it was good. But someone who doesn't have that much of a patience, they want to keep moving, it wasn't a good task for them. Also, what we did is assembling craft bags, also, and the sorting brochures and stuffing envelopes, or when we like 4-H fair, like when we go to 4-H fair, we ask anybody who wants to come. So helping at 4-H fair or assisting in prep of interactive bulletin board, and then like if someone who does really good job, and then we're trying to put them into the like DVD shelving, because the DVDs doesn't involve with the numbers too much. It's all alphabetic orders. And then they like to look at the cover so much. So they're spending a lot of time just reading the covers too, but it could be distraction, but they really love the shelving of DVDs.
Yeah, thanks for that answer. That's really helpful. And then Stacy says that she has her volunteers shelve DVDs, video games, stamp with drawn materials, hand out stickers, clean up materials at story times, and assemble crafts.
Yes, definitely. They're all good tasks for them. So as I said before, when they're doing this task, I recommend to have a quiet work area. And if the surrounding is quiet, it's okay. But if it's like right after story time or right after like big programs done, then we really need a smaller place that they can be just focused. They can focus on their work rather than getting distracted or making them doing steaming. Okay, then shall we move to the next one? This is something that I really were always, think about it because of there's so many obstacles. And I'm just curious, what do you think about this? What obstacles or rules must we consider when when implementing the volunteer program? First of all, I think staff's flexible mindset is really important. You do not have to stick with the plans rigidly because everybody has a good day and a bad days. And then when we just plan something, Like, okay, I want Rose to finish today's all DVD returns to put it in the shelf. But that's your plan. It's not actually maybe the Rose has a bad day, and then she's not, willing to work with us too much, even though she came to the volunteer work. So you have to have some kind of flexible mindset. And then I've noticed that some staff member just goes by the plans or whatever was told from their supervisor, literally just you have to finish this and this. So flexible mindset is important. Also, it's hard to anticipate their behavior, like volunteers' behavior. Once they start to pacing or rocking back and forth or hand flapping, some staff gets really anxious and nervous, and then they don't know what to do. But that's just let them giving little time to they release their emotions, and then when they are done, probably it's gonna finish in a minute or two. Then we can just redirect them to something that they would like to do and enjoy, and more not, how do I say it? It's more they can focus on. Also, my biggest obstacle, I think, or rules that I had to follow is reunion rules. Sometimes, the job descriptions of the certain or shelvers or pages, if they have a union, volunteers cannot take their jobs away, because then, it's not fair for them. They don't have a work to do. So it is important to see if your library has union, or if there's any library policy, and then make sure that you are not cross the fine line, and then give them task that's something that is not specifically given to some certain titles.
Yeah, that was also my question, because I'm having worked at union places before, having a union rules, keep that in mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I see Karen has a question. Has anyone ever done a story time or reading from a book that might have general interest? Are there specific books I want to recommend for adults? So for IDD adults. So that is a good question for everyone. And have you had experience doing a story time or reading from a book of interest, Jungwon?
Yeah, I mean, I had many library visits or field trip from the schools and special education department, and then I conducted library tours and story time. They really liked some books that you can interact. How do I just cannot remember the name, but some of you might know the yellow dots, connecting yellow dots, or like touching yellow dots. And then there is just cannot think of the I'm pretty nervous now, so yeah, anything that is interactive, like how many is here, and then you can just say like below this dot or something like that. They can interact with your story. That's the usually the big hit. And any of you, can you share with us?
With like younger, I've done for the same reason, to interact, I've done like nonfiction books, because I feel like we can all learn from new things. So I found that when I read some nonfiction, I'm learning and they're learning, and we're talking about the subject that we're learning about, and that brings a lot of interaction that maybe like a picture book might not.
Right. Okay.
Great, thank you. And Darlene says you're doing great, and I agree. So
Thank you. Before you're doing any story times, it's important to ask school, or if it's a school visit or anybody who is coming from the organization, ask them about their reading level. Sometimes we assume they will be okay, they're middle school, maybe we'll go with like maybe 6th grade level or 5th grade level, but maybe they are not enjoying the 5th, 6th grade levels of reading. They might enjoy like 2nd grade level reading. And adults as well. Some adults really like having they can read the chapter books, or they can read Stephen King's books, but some adults cannot even read or not interested in chapter books at all. They like to go to board books or picture books. So when you're having a story time, it just need to know ahead what kind of what level of the reading level they are enjoys. That will narrows down your book selections. Anybody has any like, obstacles or rules you think it might be, we should consider for this for volunteer programs? Okay, then we'll go to the evaluation and feedback. So what metrics will be used to evaluate the success of the volunteer program, and how will we gather feedback from volunteers, library staff, and patrons or parents? STAR program we had because of STEP program, the work-based learning program, it was for schools. So usually job coach evaluates their progress. So we really didn't have to do it. But our program, STAR program, we measured the understanding, if they understood their work concept. So if we ask them to do something, they are actually doing right away or not, and then they actually following the directions or not, and how accurate they do their job, and how fast, speed, and independence. Do I need to be there all the time, or I can be a walk away and then come back in 10 minutes? As well as the one biggest thing that I pushed hard is time management. I asked them to set up a timer on their watch or their phone, and then I gave them a break time in like half an hour. If they started at 4 o'clock, 4:30, okay, we'll take a half an hour, the 5 minutes break. And you set the timer, I'm setting the timer. Let's set the timer together, and then we'll meet again at the reference desk in 5 minutes. So in that way, they know the time management or the managing this break time. It happens at work, in real workplace. They can get comfortable and know, oh, this is the time to go back. So we've been working with that 5-minute break with the timer for like at least 6 months before they finish their volunteer work for the year. And for collecting feedback, we used to collect feedback through the volunteer exit conversation and parent or caregivers Google form survey and library staff self-assessment. So based on evaluation, we identify areas to improve and look for better ways to provide maintenance and sustainability. And at the end, we give certificate of recognition to make them feel like they achieved something. Do you think any other things that we should consider when we evaluate or getting feedback? No, we are of close to 12. So if no one has comments, I'm gonna move on to the last question. So we like to keep this program as long as possible. So what strategies can libraries use to ensure the long-term sustainability of the inclusive volunteer program? I'm thinking, again, ongoing training is the very important part, and also the making a good relationship or partnership with the local organization. It's almost like a summary of the today's conversation, because those are all important to make this program last long. Community engagement will be good, that raise the awareness about the program and its benefits and opportunities for involvement. Share your success stories on social media. You don't have to put their pictures or something, but if you can just put like back of the students who are working or back of the adults who are working, and the picture, and then it's just said that, oh, this person was really making progress in this, starting from the simple task to they are shelving now. Something good success story can make people aware about this program, and then you can last long, and your library management will know to your effort. So I think it is good. My success story is one of our star volunteer who has a really good understanding of jobs, and then he was pretty good, but he lacked social interactions or social skills, but he worked with us so well, and then we provide more focus on more social skills when we working with him. So we provide more like conversation to him, and then try to make him not too awkward when they're talking, or don't intercept any interrupt any conversation. So we've been working with him, and about less than a year later, he got a page job at the branch. So that's my success story. And also that as far as your library rules allow, then you can provide a flexible task to the volunteers, so they can experience a lot more different types of tasks at the library. Anybody has any comments or thoughts?
Like, that's a great success story. I really liked Darlene's advice of asking the volunteers what they enjoyed about the work. Was it what they expected? How could it be improved for next time?
Definitely, yeah. That's usually at the end of our volunteer program, we have an exit conversation that really tremendously helps us to improve ourselves. Okay, Stephanie, I think I'm almost done, and then I just want to say thank you to everyone, and then I learned a lot from our discussion today, and it was really meaningful time. And people with the disabilities are often viewed only in relation to their disability rather than as a whole person. Respecting volunteers with IDD can help them feel valued and included, and they can help build their confidence and sense of belonging. And I'd like to conclude today's conversation with a quote that I always try to remember. People with disabilities are world's largest minority group, and the only one any person can join at any time. Treat them with the respect they deserve. Thank you for joining me, everyone.